Hey guys, back to the series where we're learning to automate trading strategies. Today with part 3. This part is going to cover how to collect information from a chart, and the types of information we will be looking to collect are price-based information, candlesticks information, and time information. These are the 3 types of information that you will most commonly use within an EA in order to define a strategy and open and close trade. So now onto the chart to just quickly see what kind of information we will be getting from the chart today. The first thing we're going to be looking at is to get the price information of the current tick, so bid and ask prices. Then the next thing is we're going to look back and then go, okay, well, what's the opening price of the candle, what's the closing price of the candle, what's the low of the candle, and what's the high of the candle, and you can do it for any candle in the past. And the third thing that we're going to look at that is within a certain range, let's say 50 bars, with the last 50 bars, what is the lowest point and what is the highest point and what is the price value of those points. So this is what we will cover today, because these are normally the price action related most commonly used information that you will be needing in order to write EAs. So on to Metatrader. And guys, if you do not understand anything, that's probably is because I have already covered it in part 1 and part 2. So if you are starting the series from here and you haven't checked out the previous ones, then please go back and start from the beginning if you don't understand something. The other thing which I am going to stress is please open up your laptop, go to the Metatrader and code this with me, type these things and run it yourself, or type it yourself as well, because when you're doing it, you learn a lot faster and it sticks in the memory than just watching a video and seeing it happening on the screen. Okay, so here we are in an empty template with just the 3 initial functions, and let's start getting these informations. So I'll work within the onTick function. So this function is run whenever there is a new piece of information or a tick arriving in MQL. Let's get the ask price first. So I'll create a variable and I'll call it ask. It's a double variable, so it can contain decimals. And the way to get the information from the symbol is to basically use the symbol info function, which comes with MQL. And once you type it, it opens up all of this and then it asks you exactly what does it need in order to bring you back that information that you're looking for. Now there are 3 types of symbol info. We will only cover symbol info double. So symbol info can come in 3 different ways. Either the information you're collecting, it comes in decimals. So like price data, it comes with decimals. So that you will have to ask as symbol info double. But then there are other things where, and we'll not go into details, but there are things which come back as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in terms of choices. Then you use symbol info integer. And then there are pieces of information which come back as text. So for example, the name of the company, if you're dealing in stocks, that piece of information will come back as a string. So for that, you will use symbol info string. So which one do you choose from symbol info? It depends on what kind of information you're looking for. The kind of information we're looking for is the asked price and the bid price, and those are both price data and they have decimal values. So I know that this information must be available in symbol info double. What do I need to provide? I need to provide the chart symbol. You can specify it as well. You can go GBP USD, but because when we apply the EA to the chart, we apply it to a certain chart, and then we want all the transactions to happen on that chart, and we want the price information of that chart, and that chart is GBP USD. So instead of defining GBP USD as a hard-coded value, I would rather say, well, whatever is the symbol of this chart, get the price for that. And this I do by providing the value as symbol. This is a hard-coded way within MQL to say this is I want it for the current chart. Then the second thing the system needs is, what do you want? And I want the symbol ask. And then I put a colon at the end to tell MQL that the statement has finished. In MQL, we use colon to say that now this instruction has finished and now we are on to next instruction. So the next thing I'm going to ask for is the bid value, and once again it is available in symbol info, and because it's price data, so it's going to come back with decimals, so I'm going to use double. What do I need it for? I need it for the current symbol, and now I need it for symbol bid. Now if you want to explore more, and I'm not going to go into more detail, but let's say double whatever is the value of the or name of the variable. And if you go symbol info double, say symbol, these are the things that you can ask for within that function. If I go info integer, and then write the same thing, then what I can get is what's the symbol background color, what's the chart mode, custom digit, because these are all choices. So for example, the color could be a value of 1 to 256. So it's an integer which is going to come back. It's not a price date. It's not something which comes back with decimal. So everything related to all of this is available here. Honestly, I cannot remember the last time I have used the symbol info integer function. But just to tell you that all of this information is available, and all of that information you can get from the symbol info by using the integer part. Then the third one is a string. And if you're using the string, then you're asking for values which is gonna return a text. So what's the category of the symbol? What's the country base, currency margin? This one I cannot even remember ever using it. But just to know, so these pieces of information are available and you can retrieve them by using the symbol info function. Now as a tester, let's go ahead and print these on the chart, and I'm going to simply do a comment on the chart and we'll see what it means. Basically, we're going to print a comment here on the chart. And the way I'm doing it is it's a command that comes with MQL. So the moment you write comment and hit enter, then it's going to open up the bracket, and you have to provide a string. So I'm starting with apostrophe and \n. That basically means first put a break, meaning go to the next line, and then print ask, or you'll see it. Print ask equals to, and then because I want to get a value into the string, so I'm saying plus this ask variable. Then I want to also print the bid, so I'm going to continue the function by saying plus, and then I bracket open again, and I want it on the next line, so I'm going to create a new line by saying \n, and then I'm going to say bid equals, and then apostrophe, and then plus bid, which is this variable. And then if I press colon, that's the end of the statement or the instruction. Let's go ahead and compile it. And the moment you compile it, your EA creates an executable file and it becomes available in your Metatrader. So here we go. So part 3, getting information. If I bring it here and apply it on the chart, I need to allow algo trading. And I need to allow algo trading. All of a sudden you see here, ask and bid prices are being printed. So the system is getting the information on ask and bid because that's what we asked for, and then we're printing it here as ask equals this price and bid equals this price. So this is where we collected the price information. Let's go ahead and then start collecting the candle information. There are 4 common pieces of information that you need on a candle: is the opening price, closing price, the high of the candle and the low of the candle. So let's get the opening price first. So open, and I'm creating a variable. I'll call it x1 because this is just my way of saying that this is the opening of the last candle. So one candle to the left. So current candle is 0 and the last candle is 1. And this is how I create the variables, just to remember what values I've stored in. So for example, if I'm getting the value of the 10th candle, I'll put it as open x10 and then open x1 for the last candle, and then I can at least distinguish which variable is which. So open x1, and the generic function that comes with MQL is IOpen. The values that you need to provide within this function, again, the system needs to know which symbol do you want it for. Then it wants to know what's the time frame, because different candles for different time frames. So it wants the time frame, and you can go 1 hour chart. If you say period current, that basically means that whatever is the current, presently whatever is the current chart time frame. So right now it's 1 hour, so that's what we're going to get it for. The reason I don't use the period current is because once I have applied the EA, then I cannot change the time frame at all, because if I change the time frame, the system is going to get confused, because it's going to, so for example, if I just quickly wanted to look at 5-minute chart, now the system in the background is not calculating the 1 hour chart prices, it's getting the prices or the candle, or it will give me the candle information of the 5-minute chart, not the 1 hour chart. And if your EA is running in the background, opening and closing trades, you don't want to mess with that. So it's probably better to hard code it If you know already what do you need for the or which period you're going to be running it on, you can hard code it. Alternatively, if you remember from our variable part, the part 2 of the series, that you can ask the user for the input of time frames, and if you create a variable called time frame where you're storing the value of that period, then you can pass on the information as time frame variable as well. So in that case, whatever input the user provides here in the time frame, that is what becomes the value that we pass on to this function. So this is the way that I do it. I assign it to a variable at the global level, and then I pass on the information. So I'm pretty sure it doesn't matter if I go and change the time frame on the chart itself just to quickly see on 5 minute, 10 minute, 15 minutes chart what's happening. The system in the background is still running the same time frame. So this, and then we need to tell the system how many bars to look back. So do you want the first candle or the third candle or the 10th candle to the left of the current candle? So I want it for the last candle, so I'll just go 1. Then we finished the instruction. Then for how do we get the closing price? You guessed it right, you basically just write I close, which is exactly the same function. You have to provide exactly the same parameters, and that gives you the closing price of the last candle. Then for the high of the candle, you use the function high, I high. Again, exactly the same, it's just we're providing exactly the same parameters but in different functions. And then if I wanted to get the value of the low of the last candle, then I'll go high low and symbol, time frame, and 1. Okay, let's print these values. In order to make it simpler, I'll take it to the next line here. Now, until the time you put a colon, MQL doesn't read whether it's on a different line. MQL reads the new instruction after the code. So I can break it as much as I want in different lines. It's still the same line. So we had plus ask. Now we need to add plus \n. Open of the last candle is equals to open x1, and I pause the video to quickly type the rest as well. So we basically went new line, open x1 equals to the open x1 value or the variable, and close x1 is the variable close x1, then new line high x1 equals to high x1, and then at the end the low x1, and then we don't have a plus sign here because the system is not, or the statement is not continuing. If I go ahead and compile it, I get one error, which is the open x1 is an undeclared variable, which is here because we defined it with a capital O, not a small o. So if I change that, open x1 and then compile again, yeah, we're fine now. And if we go back now to the chart, what we can see is open x1 or close x1. These values are being printed as well. And let's quickly check it for the last candle. The high was 126.18, which is not the value I'm getting. Oh, because I'm on 5-minute chart and we're running on 1-hour chart. So 126.39, yeah, that's correct. Low x1 was 126.11 or 12, yeah, that's correct. The opening of the candle was 126.15, and the closing of the candle was, if I can line it up correctly, 126.34. So this is we're getting the last candle. Now let's look for the 10th candle, which is basically come back here, and I just go 10 everywhere. And I'm not bothered to change the codes here, but you just remember that this is now we're getting it for 10th. So if I compile it and then go back, now we're getting the value for the first 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, this bar. So now the highest of this bar was 126.20, which is correct. The low was 126.13. Yeah. Then the opening of this candle was 126.15, and the closing of this candle was, if I can line it up correctly, yeah, 126.18. Yeah, so this is correct. So we're getting the information for this bar now. Okay, I come back to my editor and I undo all the changes. So now we're getting it for the previous candle. Now the next common thing which I most of the time need the value for is within the last God knows how many bar, 50, 20, whatever, what is the highest point, what is the lowest point, and once I have the highest point and lowest point, it's then easier to get the information of the price of that point. Now this is done slightly differently, which is you have to do the code in 2 lines. In the first line, you basically ask the system, well, which bar, if you're looking back 50 bars, which bar has the highest point? So you get the value of that bar, and then once you have the value of that bar, then by using the high function, which we have already used, you can get the price information of the highest point of that bar. So first you find out which bar it is, and then you find out what's the price. Same goes for the lowest point. First you need to ask the system which bar has the lowest point, this bar. So the system is going to return how many bars to the left it is, and then you go, well, what is the lowest price of that? So I'm going to create a variable, and I need an integer variable because I'm storing a value of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and so on and so forth in that. So an integer, and I'm going to call it, let's say, high bar, and this is going to have the value of which bar has, or it will have the number of which bar to the left of the current bar has the highest point. And the way to get that information is to use IHighest, not the IHigh, but IHighest. And here you have to provide the symbol value. Again, you have to provide the time frame, and then you have to tell the system, well, which mode are you looking for? And I'm looking for mode high. Then you need to tell how many bars to look back. Let's say look back 50 bars, and then starting at what bar? So starting at the current bar, 0. Or you can tell the system start at the last bar. But then if the system is starting at the last bar, that's 49 values, just to remember that. So once I have that, then I can go ahead and use, so I can say it's the highest in 50 bars, in the last 50 bars, this is the highest point. And then now I can use the IHigh function, because the IHigh function I can use to get value of the high point of any bar on the chart. And now from this function, we already know which bar it is that has the highest value. So I can go IHigh, provide the symbol, the time frame, and then here I'm going to provide the value or the variable, pass on the information from the variable high bar. So in the first line, I figured out, or I asked the system basically to look back 50 bars and then see which bar has the highest. So it's going to return to me 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever is the number, it's like 23rd, 24th. And then I can use the high function to find the value of the 23rd bar's highest point. And then I can get the value for the lowest point by doing exactly the same, but now using the ILowest and ILow function. Now let's go ahead and print it. So now I'm adding more to it, so plus, and then what I need is, and I'll pause the video and quickly type it. So I've added it to low bar number equals to low bar. So here I'm getting the integer value of what is the number of the candle. Then I'm getting the lowest price. So lowest price within the last 50 bars is this variable. And then the same for high bar and the highest price in the last 50. Let's go ahead and compile it. We have an error. Let's double click on it, and the error on this line with the parenthesis. But yeah, because I have 2 parentheses instead of 1. Let's go ahead and compile again. And we don't have any error. We just have warnings, which is basically the system telling us that, look, these variables have a double value in it. And we are converting that number into a string, meaning a text. So it's just telling me that I'm doing an implicit conversion here from numbers to text, which is fine. Let's go back to our chart, and now we have the values here. So the lowest bar number is 43. So if I could count back from here, then I'll find that the lowest bar value is 43. From there, I can quickly check it by getting the trend line, and from our current bar, if I pull back the trend line to the lowest point bar, yeah, it is 43 bars. and the highest point happens at 21 bar, and this is what the system is telling us here as well. Now this is what we got in the first function, and then we ask for, while taking the 43rd bar, what is the lowest point of that bar? It's 125.58, and let's just quickly check that it is 125.58, and the highest point is 126.68 is what we're getting here as well. So this is how you get the candle information, guys. These are the most common ones that you're going to be needing. I don't suppose I have, the last year and a half, I have ever needed anything more than that from candles. So let's go back and look at now the collection of the time information, because that is the third piece of information that you will regularly, on a regular basis, collect back from the chart. So back here, there are two very common ones which you will most likely be using almost in every year. The first one is the time current function, which returns the time now. What is exactly the time now as of the last tick, for example. So the way to do that is, let's create the variable, and the variable type is going to be date time. And let's create a variable and let's call it time now. And let's say that time now is equals to time current. And then we end the statement. And then the second one is the function of iTime, which let's say iTime, date time, and then I want to get the time of the lowest, this bar, this low bar. Like, when did that happen? So I want to know time lowest x50. So out of the last 50 bars, which one has the lowest price? I want to get the time for that. And the function that I'll use for that again is the same as I open, I close, I high, I low, and this is the I time. It returns the opening time of that candle. So I time, and then I need to provide the same parameters. I need to tell the system which symbol, so current chart symbol, the time frame that the user has defined, and now I need to tell it which bar number it is, and I know my lowest 50 bar happened at low bar value. So I'm going to provide that low bar, and then I can get the time value of the highest bar by using the same function as well, which is iTime for the high bar, because this is where we store the value of what is the number of the bar to the left. So if I go back, okay, let's put it in the comments as well. So I'll say plus is the time of the highest bar is the time highest x50, and then here maybe I can come back and type the time of the low bar is equals to plus time lowest x50, and then plus. Let's give it a space as well. So now if I compile, I don't have any error. If I go back, then the system is going to tell me what's the time of that bar as well. So this was our bar, and the opening time of that bar. When I will hover over this bar, you will see the values here on this. Keep an eye here. If I come to this bar, I can now see the time of that was May the 8th, 1300 hours. And this is what we're getting here as well, May the 8th, 1300 hour. For the lowest bar, I'm getting the value here. So if I hover over it, then I can see it's on the 5th of May, 1500 hours. And this is what I'm getting here as well, 5th of May, 1500 hours. So this is the price. This is the most common information that you will need in your EAs to collect from the chart, so that you can run your conditions and then open and close trades based on those conditions. So guys, this is it for today. These are the most common price related, candle related, and time related information that you will be collecting from the charts. And now we know how to do it, and we will be using that probably like from part 6 onwards, where we will start to write simple EAs and then progressively start including more and more stuff into that. In the next part, we will come back to look at getting information from indicators. We will put indicators and then like Ichimoku's and moving averages and ADX or ADR. I mean, you get the idea. So we'll put all of those, and then we'll see how to get information of those indicators. And we're collecting these pieces of information basically because in order to provide the entry and exit rules to the system for our trading, we need to have this sort of information. So when the price goes above the EMA we want to open the trade, then we need to know what the price is and what is the EMA value. So in part 4, let's collect the indicator values as well, and then we can move on to actually trading operations. I do hope, guys, that you have your computers in front of you and you are actually coding or typing this as well. You will learn a lot faster and you will remember a lot more. It will burn in your memory if you actually do these things yourself as well. So until next time, guys, cheers, trade safe, stay safe.